nice. Really nice to see all of you with no masks. There's really faces out there. That's awesome to me. And it gives us a chance since no one's in the store. We don't have to have ours on either, so it's a very good thing. So the first week we really talked about the components of styling, and we kind of reviewed that a little bit last week. And the arranging was based on the song "Cute." So, how did we do with that? I'd like your comments.
I don't have the book.
We have 17 people on and nobody's saying anything. This is the way we learn from each other, so we really need to know, how you did with the song. It wasn't a hard song per se.
Hey, Joanie.
Yes.
I played it with Satin Lady, Franken Account, and Vegas Big Band.
Okay.
Went exploring on my instrument and came up with blues rock, CC rock, and I'm a Believer, which I worked pretty well.
Wow. So you have a variety of rhythms going there, and ones you probably wouldn't have expected, right?
Right. Yep.
That's great. That's great. So one of the things I suggested about the song "Cute" was to not play it smoothly. So if you weren't part of us last week, I'll remind you, this is not a smooth song. It's very play the musical phrase and get right off the note, if you will. Okay? And the other thing I challenged you with is to bring each musical phrase in on beat 2 instead of beat 1.
Right.
And what was that like? How'd that go? Did anybody have trouble with that?
No?
Right.
Can you hear
Joanie,
me?
Yes,
Joanie?
we can hear you.
Can you hear me, Joanie?
Yes.
Okay. I was just going to be talking about that second beat. It was almost natural after hearing you play it. I didn't even realize quite what I was doing, but it brings up the fact that sometimes it's nice to do something on YouTube to hear it first or to hear you first, because that second beat made all the difference in the world.
Yeah,
Plus,
I think so too.
Yeah. Plus, I really did like Satin Lady and some other things that I picked up on that. One of the really important things that I'm learning with these Zoom meetings is to be pressing like drums more often, with drums, without drums, bring them in, get rid of them, and hear the different sounds that the drums bring out, the different rhythms or almost style. So I appreciate that.
That's good. Yeah, the Zoom kind of does force you more or less to touch the buttons, because you're not sitting in class with a lot of people and hearing just the options I would do. So when you get to sit down and try things, well, I wonder what this is like. And
Right.
I have been really emphasizing that as one of the elements, which the drums are, is to make a decision every time. And they don't have to be there all the time.
No.
And they don't have to be there none of the time if we're on a pianist and guitarist style either. So it's good to think about those things and make yourself an arrangement, and then once you've done it, you got it, to go on to the next one. But a really important skill set for me to present to everyone is that you can create an arrangement on your own. Doesn't mean it couldn't be tweaked, or you might want to get another opinion for what do you think of this. But at least you are getting the basics of how to start out and even take the most simple song you're going to play and how can I make that different. So it's a little different than, don't confuse it with a medley.
Right.
And medleys, when that's an arrangement too, but that's when we're putting two different songs together, whereby just an arrangement may be specifically just on one song, which is what we're working with in these last 2 weeks and now week number 3. So we changed sounds in cute, we transposed up,
Yes.
and then when we got to line 9, we went back to line 8 and
Yes.
repeated that kind of as a tag ending. So if you weren't in the class last week, that gives you a little bit to work with.
I like that. I like that tag ending.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to play through it and then one time here, and then if you have questions, go ahead and raise your hand when I finish, okay? And I'm going to be using Vegas Big Band because, like I said last week, that's kind of the way I know the song. So, oh, and the other thing was, did everybody remember that what's the introduction chord?
F.
F. Correct. Not G minor. Very good. Okay, so again, you could hear that I wasn't being smooth. I was helping a person on Zoom privately on this song, and they hadn't been to the presentation last week, and so they were playing every note really, really smooth. And once they didn't have to do that, it made a big difference in the sound. So I was really glad to hear that. And good suggestions on the various rhythms. Al was speaking from an aria point of view. Doug was speaking from a Sterling point of view. So there's a lot of other rhythms that you can use to do it. And let's see, we have a question from Jan. Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when I was doing, like on the end of first line into the second line, and you're holding the fill,
Yes.
I kind of just ignored that D7, the first measure of the second, because it was too hard, especially when I was doing it on the easy one, because you have to lift your hand way up to hit the fill button, and then you wouldn't be able to hold it through the two measures.
That's true on an easy one.
Yeah, so I just kind of, I held the fill and I didn't do the D7, and then I came back in with the G minor.
Okay.
And then hit the G
Okay.
note on the second.
That's good. We yeah, I made a point last week, and I hope you remembered that this the fill that we were using, in most cases we were using it for 2 measures, so you're holding on to it, not letting go, and that's kind of important for you to remember, especially in this particular song. But it makes a difference because you start to listen to it, because the fill's going longer. You know, typically we push the button, but we hardly even hear it, or maybe it just goes for 1 beat or 2 beats. But if you're holding it for 2 measures, you're going to hear what that fill is doing, and I think that makes a difference for people. So if you haven't done that, when you go back to play it, try to activate the fill and hold on to it for 2 measures. Once the fill gets into the second measure, you can let go, because the fill will complete the measure before it stops. It's just that you have to hold it from 1 measure into at least beat 1 of the second measure, and then it'll finish itself out. So you don't have to be holding it the whole time. You just have to get the fill activated into the second measure. Does that make sense? Any questions? No? Doug?
There, now you can hear me.
There you go.
Joni, I've been, I think, getting into a bad habit here. Every time I see a G minor, I throw a 7th on it, or a D minor, I just throw a 7th on it. Is that a bad habit to get into, or just
No,
listen?
not really.
Okay.
Most of the time,
the time.
minor 7th is going to sound better.
Okay.
They don't do it as much in easy play because it's quote unquote easy.
Right.
But, you know, an extra note like that is really just going to make it sound even better.
I usually try to listen to, because I catch what I'm doing, and then I try to listen to see if it sounds okay, and it always sounds all right. I just did not know if that was maybe a bad habit to get into.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought up the 7th, because when I get to the end of line 9 on the F, I played an F7 before I went back to line 8.
Yep.
And I realized I did that when I was playing it just now for you, and I think it sounds better. It's kind of the 7th is a leading tone. It leads to something, another chord. And so instead of just being on a regular F at the end of the song, I played an F7 and then went back to line 8. Now, of course, when I end the song, I end on an F. You don't want an F7 when you're finished, because the 7th is a leading chord.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so today should be interesting. Today we're going to page 50, which is Mr. Bojangles. And this was really the way I know the song. You know it with the lyrics, really. And it's got a lot of verses, so the roadmap looks a little extensively crazy. If you turn the page to 52, there's all the verses that it has. And the fear I have, not a fear, but a concern, is that if you're just looking at the notes, you're going to be playing it like a regular waltz, and it's not. So what I did was I YouTubed it, and the one that I knew, the group I knew that did it, was the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. There's another version that I listened to, again, just to get a little different flair, and it was Sammy Davis doing it. And I didn't really care for the way he did it. He did it more theatrical. So I have my iPad here, and I'm going to play it for you. There's nothing to see, so you won't be seeing a video. But I'm going to play it from this group, and this is some songs are more difficult than others. So I'm asking you basically to listen to the background, which is very hard because the lyrics take over the song. But I'd like you to listen to the background if you can drown it for yourself, and make a little list, if you will, in your mind or on paper of what instruments you're hearing. I came up with 6 different instruments. And like I said, they come in intermittently in the background. And so I even had Jason listen to it because I was trying to check my ear to be sure it was correct. And he heard the same instruments I heard. And the reason I'm telling you this is because in this case, the song is really more based on the lyrics. Well, if we're going to play it on a virtual instrument, we have to figure out what to use because we're obviously not having the lyrics. And so the answer to that question, how do I figure out what sounds I'm going to use? Well, in a good case is if you listen to the background and listen to which instruments are in there. Obviously, this is a 3/4. It is not a typical pa waltz. It's not a la 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 waltz. You know, it's not like that in it. And the thing about the song is, it's fast. The melody goes by pretty quickly. So until you get the melody down, it may not be sounding like the way you know this song. So it's also, the chord progressions are pretty simple. They're the same chord progressions that are actually in Piano Man as well. So, but let's just take a listen now. Let me get the iPad, and you see what you hear in the background, and we'll go from there. The Nitty Gritty Dirt. This isn't going to let me do it, Brian. I know. I don't know. I didn't bring my phone in. You're not connected to the internet, so it's not going to play it for you. Okay, just a moment. We're having a little technical difficulty now. We just did that 20 minutes ago, and it played fine, and now it's not. So, oh, there it is. We got it. Here you go. Well, hold on. I'm sure it was by my phone.
Probably all it's going to play. Sorry, guys. We're going to connect Joanie's phone to the tablet and hope that that works for us. You learn something new every day, especially when you work with Zoom, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Were you able to just listen to the background and kind of block out the lyrics there? Like, nod your head yes or no. Okay, good. That was hard for me the first time. So if you're wondering what our technical difficulties are, we only have one cable, which Jason had to put a hole in the wall to run it back to the classroom so that we could have the internet on the computer. So when we take up the internet on the computer, then we don't have a way of getting any other device with internet, which is what happened with my iPad. So I hooked it up to my phone as a hotspot, and that's how we were able to get it. We didn't kind of anticipate that happening. Sorry about that. So, like I said, if you want to go on YouTube and listen to the Sammy Davis version, it's extremely different and very theatrical. But this, for orchestrally speaking, I thought was a great version, and it certainly is the way I remember it as well. So what kind of instruments did you hear? We're going to unmute so you can kind of call out.
Mandolin,
Mandolin,
Yes.
very good.
guitar, banjo,
Yep.
drum, accordion,
Yep,
piano.
yep.
That's what I got.
Where do I find jug on my organ?
Jug, you have it. It's called Blown Bottle.
I think it's called blown bottle jug.
Oh, okay. Didn't have any idea.
You actually have it.
Okay. I just saw the picture of the jug.
Yeah, Brian cut you all a break because he put up the picture of them holding the instruments, so you didn't have to use your ears as much as I wanted you to. I have acoustic guitar is definitely a mandolin. I heard with harmony, by the way, an accordion, a piano, strings and bells, at one point came in, and there was also a musette. So that gave me an idea of, what I can do. Now you'll notice that in the background, it's guitars mainly, and all these
Yes.
other instruments kind of enter and exit at random. So the guitar background, we either have to alter the style if you need to, or the first choice is you actually have a rhythm from the SU instruments on up. You have a rhythm called Bojangles, which it's exactly for this song. So if you have the Bojangles, great. Now, if you're on an easy product, then you're going to go to 3/4 Guitarist. And the other thing we have to do is we have to turn up the drums, of course, and we have to speed it up. So I forget what the Guitarist came on at, but I sped it up on an easy, for instance, an easy 10. I sped it up to 120 because it's a floating quick waltz. And it doesn't have your typical waltz feel. So I would try that. You also can go in, interesting, if you edit style, which I did on I guess we were on the Symphony or Liberty. If you touch edit style, you'll see all those instruments in that background of Bojangles. And so if you forget, that'll give you an idea of what different sounds that you can use. Something else I did, which came out really great, was I added to the background, I added golden harp. And when I added golden harp, I selected, matter of fact, maybe we can shimmy the camera here. So I went to my golden harp and I touched more because I want to see the patterns. And I went, maybe we can see it. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm going to change screens here so you can see it on the TV because it's bigger. I am playing happily. I'm playing on a symphony. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, so here you see it on the screen, the guitar pattern, which works great for this particular background. And it's different than a typical golden harp that you're going to hear because it was picking up the sounds that were in the background of Bojangles. So it didn't sound like a harp, like the normal golden harp we would expect to hear at all. It sounded like a guitar pattern that was as close to matching what you just heard on YouTube as possible. So that was really kind of fun. I enjoyed doing that as well. Let's just pause a moment and see if you have any questions about what we've talked about so far. Any questions? Doug?
Yeah, Joni, I was just wondering, obviously the lyrics are nobody's going to be listening to the lyrics. How many times should we be playing through this?
As much as you want.
Just as much. It does not get too repetitious. Well, I can just play it when I'm playing and I'll just figure it out. Yeah.
Well,
see what I like. Yeah.
We came up with 6 sounds so that you can use. So you could conceivably play the 5 verses the way it is. I just wanted to talk about the music map for a moment. So you come through line 1, line 2, line 3 to measure 1 only. That's the first ending, and you see dots. So in the dots, you go back up to the beginning and play line 1 and line 2 to measure 3. When you complete measure 3, you swing over down to line 3 to the number 2 box. That's the second ending. Okay, then we go all the way through the song, and we play to the end of the song where the dots are, and then you would go back and do the same pattern again 4 or 5 times, depending on what you want to do and how many instruments you want to use. So in their case, it was how many verses you wanted to play through. So it depends on, you know, what sounds you're going to use. I'm going to pull up right now Bojangles. So when I pull it up, Bojangles, here's the choices that you look at on the screen for the rhythm preset sounds or style setup sounds. First one they gave you was a harmonica, accordions on the upper keyboard, and you notice that there's a harmonica on the lower split, and I didn't hear that in the tune, but that's certainly an instrument that you could use as well. And then we have some guitars, and then we have piano and strings on number 8. We have a mandolin and a string on number 9. So a lot of the choices that you heard, they duplicated or replicated into our settings so that we could sound just like the background. So you have a lot of good choices there. On line 2, the only change I made is line 2, the first chord is an F7, and that works, that's fine, but I really prefer C minor, C as in cat, C minor there. I thought that C minor sounded better. And it's very progressive because you're going to go, let me just turn the rhythm off for a second and put the easy button on. You're going to go from the C minor and go move right into the B flat. So it sounds like this. So I thought that progression was better. That's the only change I made. But rhythmically, you gotta play it the way you know it. When I chose this song, actually, well, almost a week ago, I wasn't very excited about it at all. I didn't know how I was going to transfer it into a virtual orchestra song, and I knew the song, but it didn't set my world on fire, I can tell you that. But then after listening to it, and then after seeing our choices that we have on the virtual instruments, then I kind of got excited about it. And like I said, the speed is going to be an issue for you, that you got to get it moving, and you can't take breaks. If you're going to play, if you look at the first line, you're playing A, G, A, G, A, G. You can't be looking for the G when it sits next to the A. You know what I mean? I mean, your fingers are going to have to flow through these notes, and there aren't a lot of different notes, so I figured that wouldn't be too difficult for you, but rhythmically you do have to play it correctly. If you look on the second page, you see line 2, you see 3 Ds. Well, if you play 3 Ds and you play them like quarter notes, it's not going to come out sounding like the chorus of the song. So you are going to have what I would say rhythmic fingers in your right hand in order to recreate the song. Just a little side note about fingering. The first note you play is a C, and you're going to use your thumb, and you're going to use your 5th finger on A. No exceptions. Don't try to be creative. Normally your 5th finger falls on G. You're moving it up 1 note to the A. That is the fingering. So, you know, I've seen in the last week or so, I've seen some, let me just say, really creative, unique people going from C, and then they go up and they put their 2nd or 3rd finger on a high B flat, and some pretty wild stuff. This isn't like that. On line 2, measure 2 is a middle C, and then it jumps up to D. Well, the middle C is your thumb. It jumps up to high D. Pick up your hand. You don't have to be able to stretch it. Just pick up your hand and put your pinky on the D. And if your pinky's on D, what finger's going to play C? You could show me by way of fingers on the screen. 4, right? 4 is next to 5. So that's all I'm really going to say about the fingering, but except the notes are very close together. But it is going to require that you go ahead and use the right rhythm. So listen to it a few more times if you need to. I'm actually going to go over to the easy 10 first because we don't have Bojangles there. And then I'll come back and do it on the symphony with Bojangles. Yeah, it is. I have it turned on right now. Oh. I did. So this is with 3/4 Guitarist. And I've taken the tempo up to 120. Okay, that gives you an idea. Now, I don't have the capacity to have a golden harp over here, but I did have a good good guitar background there. So that's a little more mellow than actually what you're going to hear in Bojangles. So we'll go back over here now. And let's see, I want to put in my golden harp too so you can hear that. And the song ends, if depending on how many verses you're going to do, the song ends obviously with an F chord. So you got to finish to the 5th ending no matter how many times you've played it. Don't forget about that. And it is... first, I'm using intro 1 with an F chord. one of the things that I really came to appreciate was the sounds that were being used on that rhythm style, you know, because in a lot of pieces of music, we don't necessarily call up mandolin with harmony. Another thing that I heard in YouTube, and you may not have noticed it, but I actually found a feature that is not on the instruments by accident. We have in a harmony, we have fourths and fifths as a harmony choice, and we have 4-part. But when they were singing it on YouTube, I'm not sure now, I can't remember if they were singing fourths or they were singing perfect fifths, which in music, if you go to school for music, the first thing they teach you is you can never have perfect fifths. And then they tell you to forget what you learned. But anyway, there is not that harmony that they actually did. We don't have that exact button for that. But you'll find on the mandolin, they actually played it in duet. And that's the harmony that comes on with the mandolin. So let's see here. I just want to double check myself to be sure that's correct. But anyway, I did get more excited as I did it because we just have such great options. Yeah, when you put on when you do your full mandolin orchestra, which is number 10, it has duet on. That's why it sounded as full as it did. So I thought it was pretty fun, and it's not real difficult, but it does move along. So it's going to kind of push your fingers a little bit this week too. But that's what I want. I want the skill set to be where you're playing music and not notes. And too often when we start out, and sometimes for a long period of time, we're just looking at the black and white notes, and we're not really trying to play music. And in some cases, I'll say to people when I'm working with them, play it, sing it in your head, and play it like you would sing it. Because if you don't have the song in your head, then you're just going to look at black and white notes, and that loses the effect of the song. So if you do know it, great, sing it in your head, but get your fingers moving a little bit, and I think you can have some fun with it, and it's not a difficult tune to play, so I think you'll enjoy being really easy on you now these first 3 weeks, right? Because we did some more difficult things in this book last semester when we were together. I'll take some questions now. Or comments, either.
Joanie,
Yes.
what rhythm were you playing on, or tempo on the
What
symphony?
tempo? Bojangles comes on at 1:30.
Okay.
The 3/4 guitarist on the Easy 10, I put it at 1:20 because it comes on real slow.
Joni, did I hear you put an FX in just before the chorus?
Yes, always.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I use the effects a lot. Any place where we have to wait around for 2 measures,
Right.
yeah, I was using the FX there.
Okay.
And I
Thanks.
had a little guitar going in the Golden Harp background too, so there was enough going on to make it really sound kind of fun.
It was fuller. Yes.
Yes. Someone
Thanks.
else? Marlene, do you have a question?
I had my question answered. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anybody else? Comment?
Sorry. One.
Joan?
Al?
Yeah, on the first line, last measure, you played those as quarter notes, I think, didn't you?
No. Nope, they were 8th notes.
Oh, 8 notes. Okay.
Rita? Unmute yourself, please. You have something you want to say to us? We're reading you as Rita Manley. Is that Joe Manley? Josephine? No. Well, you're unmuted, but you're not speaking. Okay. Anybody else? Doug?
Joanie?
Can you hear me, Joanie?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry to keep bugging you. I know you did intro 1. What was your ending? Same? 1?
I did ending 1 as well because this is a signature style for the song.
Oh,
Good
okay.
question. Good question. Marlis?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I have learned so much with these Zoom classes because I can see exactly what you're doing, and I've been playing much, much better.
Must be because of the great camera work, I think.
It's
Is what.
it's the cameraman, definitely.
But you're not
Absolutely.
looking at somebody's back and
Yes.
not really seeing what's happening. You see the
Mhm.
whole machine, and it just I have really improved, I think.
Well, and the other thing, I guess an advantage of Zoom, which I didn't really think it was an advantage at first, but now having done so many of them with people, when you're Zooming, you're zoomed in, literally.
Right.
Your
Right.
brain is like, you're really paying attention. Sometimes you come in the store and you're thinking about other things and your mind drifts away, you know, and that's not the case on Zoom. It has your undivided attention.
Right.
And so I think that's been a benefit that's come out of the Zoom. It's for me, still extremely unpersonal. I just,
Right.
I really miss live bodies. And Brian and Jason would say the same thing. The days are very, very long with doing, we may do 4 or 5 different types of Zooming and then be on the phones, and that's it. There's no live bodies. It's like, it's difficult for me anyway.
Can we
Go for
walk
us.
into the store?
I'm sorry?
Can we come walking into the store?
Yes.
Okay.
We do about maybe, would you say 5, Brian? 5 help sessions of live people coming in maybe in a week, because most people now just don't want to come in at all, obviously with the number increase. But yeah, I would recommend call ahead. There's never more than 1 or 2 people in the store ever. If there was, we would rejoice. So we're never crowded and we're always sanitizing. So yes, we are open. We generally are here from 9 in the morning until 4-ish. Till we finish our work. We're not keeping strict hours now. You know, we all have a quota and things we have to do, and when we finish, we basically go. And
Good.
sometimes we go home and like yesterday, I worked from home for another 2 hours. So be flexible. If you want to come in and you want to give a call, so you make sure we're here, that's fine too. Just give us a call.
Thank you.
Rita's question was, where can I get the book? We actually have 2 people who would be willing to bring their book here because they have 2 books.
Oh.
And you could buy it from them. If not, Amazon's the fastest way to do it.
Yeah.
Anything else? No, that's it. Okay, well, I want you to have some fun with this. I went a little bit over time today because I'm trying to keep it at 45, but you had good questions. So have some fun with this song and keep going over Cute, because it is cute. I love that song. And we'll meet back no matter what the link says. If it says o'clock and then it says AZ, ignore it.
Right.
It's 11 o'clock on Tuesdays, Florida time.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say?
I suppose.
Good session, Joanie. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. You're welcome.
Thank you very Thank you.
Good. All righty. Well, I look forward to seeing you back next Tuesday.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Stay